The Sisters of Dorley by Alyson Greaves, read by Robin Nolan. Chapter 7, Consensus. 2019, October 15th, Tuesday. Dear Mum, Dad, and Petra, I know what follows might sound bad, so I'm telling you up front. I'm okay. I'm better than okay. Happier than I've been in years. But my degree isn't working out, and I have to do something about it. Things have been getting harder and harder for me. I know I should have told you, but we haven't seen each other much, especially since you moved away. For a long time, I blamed you, but if I'm honest with myself, it's my fault. My choice. I think I didn't want you to see me so unhappy. You know how I struggled after Mark disappeared, and from there, it just seemed like things kept getting worse. I started having trouble concentrating. I lost my motivation. I spent more and more time on my own. After he was gone, I threw myself into education, and that, I've only just realized, was the wrong choice. I know, my third year of uni is a bit late to realize this, but at least I'm finally thinking. It's not that I don't like my degree, I do, but I'm burned out. I've been working hard for so many years that I don't have any hard work left in me. I need a break, so I'm taking one. I've had to do resits, but I've never actually had to repeat a year, so I can suspend my studies now and still access student loans when I return. And yes, I said return, because I'm going on a trip. I'm getting out of the country for a while. A year, maybe two. I'm going traveling. I want to see Spain, Italy, and Turkey. Maybe I'll stay somewhere. Maybe I'll keep going. I haven't decided yet. I won't be taking my phone. I haven't been able to afford credit for the thing for a while now anyway. As soon as I made this decision, it felt like a weight I've been carrying for years just fell off my shoulders. I have hope. Real hope. For the first time in a long time. I have a chance to find the real me. So this is goodbye for a little while, but not forever. When I come back, and I will, I hope to be someone you can be proud of. Petra, I love you so much. I've seen your music in the videos Mum sent. You're so good. You inspire me. And I'm not getting to see you for a little while is the only dark cloud on my horizon. I'll write again in a little while and tell you everything I've been up to. Keep practicing your trombone, work hard, but not too hard, in school, and we'll see each other again before you know it. All my love, Stefan. Happier than you've been in years, Pippa had said when she read it back. He shrugged. I'm selling it. They have to believe I'm serious, right? And look, about Petra, I've said I'll write. Can we do that every few months, just so she doesn't worry? Don't see why not, Pippa said, if you behave. The whole time they'd been going over the letter, she hadn't looked at him much, seemed more interested in playing with her bracelet, hooking a finger inside and turning it around on her wrist. A nervous tick. If you let me write, Stefan replied, I'll do whatever you ask. Her little smile had been unmissable. She left him alone after that, said dinner would be delivered to him later, and suggested he use the time until then to get acclimated to his new room. Stefan had been surprised, but now he's had a chance to think about it, it makes sense. If the program is gradually eroding his supposed masculinity with a mix of hormones and manipulation, and surgery, eventually, then it can't all be someone getting in his face. He needs time to stew, to catastrophize. He wonders how the others reacted at this point, taken from a bare cell to a fully furnished room, shown the washing facilities and the limited entertainment options. It must have dawned on them that they're in for a long stay, away from friends and family, away from the sun, no control over your meals or your movements, locks on every door, handcuffs under your bed. They even pick your clothes for you. None of them can have the slightest idea what's actually going on here. The weirdo who thinks it's demons is probably the closest. When it finally becomes clear what's going to happen to them, how will they react? It's possible that if Stefan's going to get through this, it's his fellow inmates that he's going to need to understand and predict, not Pippa. God, Pippa. Who did she used to be? He's given up questioning that every woman he's seen since waking up in his cell has gone through the whole process themselves, at least until an alternative and slightly less ridiculous reality presents itself. He's more interested now how they feel about it, having graduated. Christine is fiercely defensive of her gender. Proud of it. How does Pippa feel about hers? Does she truly not resent being grabbed off the street and forcibly remade? Christine said they get orchiectomies after 6 months. For someone who doesn't want it, that's mutilation. Did Pippa wake up one morning, slowly come to understand that something was terribly wrong, start grabbing in pain and fear at her? Nope, Horrible thought. Abandon it. He laughed at Will. It didn't seem so funny anymore. They're going to castrate him. First chemically, which is reversible, but then with a scalpel. Stefan balls up the duvet cover in his hands. He has to stop worrying about what happens to these people, because not only is he powerless to stop it, he's not sure that he would if he could. Wife beaters, drunk drivers, misogynists, bad men, at least for now. Because that's the other thing. Believing Christine means that believing some or all of the bad men down here will eventually come to accept and embrace the new life that's going to be forced on them. They'll be rehabilitated. Christine insisted that was the purpose of this place. Bad men made better. She's ashamed of having been like them once. Hate me, she said. Both her womanhood and her contempt for her old self, whoever he was, make a pretty compelling argument that the program works. Except for the dropouts. But from the point of view of this Aunt B person, definitely the sort of name you would adopt if you had a basement full of kidnapped men and you wanted to add an air of respectability to the whole deal while remaining comfortably anonymous. The dropouts are a key part of the plan. You take X bad men, you put them through the ringer, and by the end of the program you have X minus Y women, reformed and ready to start new lives, where Y represents the men too bad, too stubborn, and too inflexible to change. However large Y is, you've still removed X bad men from the world. Win-win. Forget the morals for now. He can always blow the whistle on his place when he's free, assuming he can find a good way to do so without endangering Christine, or Melissa, or Pippa, or any of the other graduates, probably. God, will he even want to when he leaves? Will this place change him like it changed Christine? Will he leave not only as a woman, but as a true believer? In a few years, will it be him standing on the other side of a glass door? Shut up, Steph, he hisses to himself. If the point of leaving him alone in this room is to make him spiral, then he's right on schedule. Time for a distraction. He takes inventory, which doesn't pass much time when he was in his cell, but there was considerably more stuff here. The room is unglamorous, but comfortable. The wardrobe, which Stefan half expected to be full of dresses, is mostly empty, with a few sets of near-identical outfits tucked away in various shelves. Hoodies, t-shirts, jogging trousers, socks, and a handful of neutral shades. The shelves in the wall and the drawer and the bedside table are empty, and the vanity contains only a plastic hairbrush and his wash kit. There's a small cabinet, or perhaps a dumbwaiter, set into the wall by the door with a soft green light, unlocked, that on opening contains a box of cereal bars and a water bottle. There's even a rug on the floor between the vanity and the bed, and its slightly rubbery finishes suggest that it'll make a serviceable yoga mat. He laughs, remembering the look on Pippa's face when he said this room was considerably nicer than his house share. He fetches down the water bottle and the cereal bar and pulls the wooden chair over from the vanity to the metal desk and starts investigating the computer. There's a shortcut on the desktop labeled Message Sponsor, which loads a chat interface called Consensus. He can customize the name that's been preloaded. He deletes the last two letters before he tries sending a message. Steph, just checking to see if this does what I think it does. Pippa, yes, it does. Another privilege. It'll be taken away if you abuse it. Steph, define abuse, please. Is asking for things or making suggestions abuse? Pippa, abuse is if you are rude to me. I am also free to ignore you as well. You're not the only thing in my life. Steph, naturally. Actually, I had a suggestion, if it's okay, to do with my, quotes, going traveling. Pippa, okay? I assume you have my debit card, since I had it on me when you brought me in. Disappearing like this, so suddenly, leaves my housemates without help with the rent. My last day pay from work will come in this Friday. My PIN is XXXX. When my pay comes in, can you take everything out of my accounts and put it in the letter for my housemates? It won't cover everything, but it's better than nothing. It means holding on to the letters a few more days, but I think it's probably okay. Pippa, yes, that's fine. What about the stuff in your old room while we're thinking about your housemates? Steph, it came furnished. There's very little in there that's mine. Just my garbage old laptop and my clothes. They can keep the laptop if they need it. Donate the clothes, I guess. Pippa, we'll take them all, actually, to support your story. We'll do it on Friday. Empty your account and leave the letter with the money on your bed. Steph, how can you do that? Oh, I suppose you have my keys too. Pippa, of course. FYI, the front door key is one of the frog keychain. You might have to jiggle it a little bit. And my door is the elephant keychain. Don't suppose you could keep the keychain somewhere for me? Pippa, why? Steph, presents from my sister. I don't care about any of my other stuff, but could you find a shelf for them or something? Pippa, I'll keep hold of them, for now. Steph, if I'm good, right? Pippa, right. Steph, I'll be good. Pippa, we'll see. Do you have any other questions? I have notes to write up. Steph, oh, cool. What are you studying? Wait, never mind, actually. Sorry, no more questions. Thanks. Good afternoon, Stefan. Idiot, he tells himself, as Pippa's icon switches to idle. Stop trying to be her friend. In search of further distractions, he browses through the directories on his PC, finding TV shows and movies, mostly romantic comedies, a large library of books, also mostly romances, and a handful of games. Stardew Valley, The Sims, Tetris, that sort of thing. Absorbing, and unless there's something about The Sims he doesn't know, largely non-violent titles. The music folder is mostly women artists, biased towards pop, and everything in the bar the games seems to be accessible through the phone. He finds a pair of chunky, weathered headphones on an extremely long cable and plugs them into a PC, picks out a movie at random, and settles on the bed. There's a kitchen on every floor at Dorley, bar the first. The new girls who live on the first floor are self-contained to a dorm within a dorm, behind heavier locks than anywhere else above the basement, and expected to use the ground floor facilities under supervision. And the one on the second floor, a short walk around the U-shaped corridor from Christine's room, is particularly nice, with many advantages. Low traffic, minimal chance of seeing Aunt B, plenty of Weetabix, a nice view outside to the woods. What it doesn't have, unfortunately, is leftovers, which is why Christine finds herself once again pushing aside the double doors into the ground floor kitchen on the hunt for something to heat up. Feels like she's spent more time down here in the past week than she did in the whole prior months, even when she lived on the first floor. Still, with all her obligations discharged and Steph apparently settling in nicely into his room, Christine will once again have time to do her own shopping and can go back to preparing her cheap little meals for one in the blessed almost solitude of the second floor. It's quiet down in the main kitchen, for once. There's only Maria eating her dinner at the big table and leafing through a binder, some faint conversational sounds coming from the dining room next door. Christine realizes as she relaxes that she'd been hunching her shoulders and smiles sheepishly in Maria's direction. Maria answers with a pinky wave so she doesn't have to put down her fork. There's salad, Maria says, and this sort of mushroom pie thing that I'm having, which is pretty good. And something with beef I'm not sure I can recommend. Thanks, Maria. Christine's still got her head in the fridge when someone grabs her from behind and hugs her hard enough to lift her slightly off the floor. Hi, Indira, she wheezes when her sponsor puts her down again. Hi, Teeny, Indira says, taking Christine gently by the shoulders and turning her around. Sweetheart, when's the last time you had any sleep? She exclaims when she gets a proper look. In Christine's head, that guy from the office wipes the number clean from a whiteboard which says, number of hours since someone told me I look like shit. Christine submits to the follow-up hug. Last night, she says, but I don't think it counted. It was like 4 hours. I have big plans for tonight, though. Pulls away from Indira's hug and smiles at her. Big plans. Cancel them, says Paige, marching in from the dining hall and almost running up to Christine and Indira. She sings, we got permission. Permission for what? Aunt B said we can take you off campus tonight, Indira says, shutting the fridge and offering a steadying arm to Christine, who evidently looks like she might fall over at any moment. Off campus, Christine says, allowing herself to be steadied. Indira guides Christine's bottom gently towards the kitchen table, where it parks itself without Christine's conscious attention. Where? Off campus means being out among people who don't know who she used to be, and who won't be minded to grind her any slack. Not what you used to be, who you are, she corrects herself. She's trying to be conscientious about that. Don't worry, Teeny, Indira says, tucking back a stray lock of Christine's hair. We're going with Vicky and Laura and some of their friends. Hassan was going to come, but he has work, so you'll be one of 9 or 10 girls. No one will look at you twice. Thanks a lot, Christine mutters. I mean, Paige says, grinning, well aware of Christine's faltering confidence and having none of it. If you want them to look at you, we can make it happen. Make you look stunning. You'll have to beat them off with a stick. That's Maria's job, Indira giggles. Maria, who at this point has been ignoring the commotion, laughs and nearly chokes on a mushroom. I don't want that, Christine whispers, stiffening up, half wondering if she's going to leave fingerprints embedded in the kitchen table. But you're so pretty, Christine, Paige insists. You could be gorgeous if you would just let me at you. I did let you, Christine says, unwilling to give Paige any slack. Just last week. And you looked great. Paige takes the victory and presses her home advantage. You even pulled. What happened to that boy anyway? Oh, Christine stammers, stalling, but also panicking. Idiot. Why did she bring up the party where she met Steph? She didn't want anyone thinking about that. I kissed him. I sent him home. He was nice, but I'm not really ready for boys, you know? Please don't remember him. Please don't remember him. Wait, Dira says. She pulled? A real-life boy? Tell me everything. Christine doesn't know which of them the question is directed, so she lets Paige pick it up. There was a party on Saturday, Paige enthuses, in that new dorm building. Just a little thing. Some people from the SU set it up. And you know I've been trying to get her to come out with me since forever. It's true. Paige, social butterfly, has been cursed to live next door to Christine, social equivalent of one of those burrowing creatures who only show up after midnight to eat the grubs the above-ground varmints don't want, but persists in trying to drag Christine out of the dorm anyway. Probably because their only other options on their floor are all non-starters. Jody, who dresses like Morticia Adams, and who Christine generally only sees when she happens to catch her live-streamed World of Darkness games, has never willingly opened her door to Paige lest she be forcibly de-gothed. Vicky is already stunning, sociable, and capable of dressing herself, might defensively take Paige over instead, depending on who wins the tussle for dominance, and doesn't even technically live at Dorley anymore. And Julia and Yasmin are both already trying to put their time in the program behind them, having found jobs instead of returning to classes once they've been officially released, and Christine expects never to hear from them again. Yasmin, in particular, has an unaccountable reluctance to spend her leisure time with the people she spent a year locked in a torture basement with, Julia accepted. Christine thinks it's a shame, and doesn't know if it's a good or bad thing that she does. What she does know is that in the outside world she has nothing, but here at Dorley she has friends and family, even if they are sometimes a little pushy. What did she wear? Indira asked Paige, fully aware that Christine would rather die of anxiety or embarrassment than engage seriously with that question. I had a box come in from that place I was telling you about, and they had this beautiful scoop neck brown top. I know, brown, but it was broken up with this repeating floral pattern in off-white that was just gorgeous. Paige makes gestures around her chest to indicate it wasn't the only reason she liked the top. She has an obsession with getting Christine to show off her breasts for some reason. So I put her in that with some Converse and a lovely loose cardigan, the same shade as that old skirt I've been carrying around with me since forever. You know the one. And I did her hair and her face. Hang on, I actually have pictures. Christine leans heavily on the table as Paige scrolls through her phone for a delighted Indira. She's startled by the sudden warmth around her hand, but it's just Maria offering silent condolences. Or possibly congratulations. Difficult to tell without looking, and Christine would much rather examine the floor right now. She knows the pictures Paige will be swiping through for Indira, because Paige begged for permission to put them on her Insta and looked tremendously put out when she refused. She did ask for copies though. Nice to have proof that you can look good with assistance. Teeny, Indira says, you look fantastic. You should dress up more often. Christine, wearing shorts, a vest and shirt, nods silently. She's not wrong, it's just that when she applies makeup, everything looks too bold, and when she chooses clothes, everything looks too showy. Trying to be beautiful and getting it wrong is so much more frightening than just throwing on a hoodie and putting up with the occasional boy at Saints asking her if she has a skateboard. Tell her about the boy, Paige says after a few more excitable back and forths with Dira. Oh, stalling again. But if she's going to have to contribute to this conversation sooner or later, it might as well be with misinformation. He was tall, blonde, white. I liked his glasses. And she talked to him all night, Paige adds triumphantly, apparently not realizing that all the attributes Christine supplied, skin color was the only correct one. Steph is shorter than Christine, doesn't wear glasses, and is strikingly ginger. Christine wonders if she could have given the boy a decoy Steph a fake beard. It's not that Paige is unlikely to actually remember the face of the boy Christine at the party or connect him to the trans girl currently making terrifying decisions in their basement, but you never know. They used to get gangsters on tax evasion, after all. You said you kissed, right? Indira asks, and as much as Christine loves her, she wants to look away because she knows the next thing she will say will put Indira's energy level through the roof. A bit, she admits, and tries not to grimace when Indira squeals and hugs her again. Ever since Dira started seeing her childhood friend Hassan, she's been romance crazy and desperate to start matchmaking for Christine as soon as she works out what sort of person she likes. Christine doesn't see what the rush is. She's been a woman for just 1 year after all, and she spent most of that time inside. He, didn't really do anything for me, she adds, silently apologizing to Steph. You think maybe you might want to meet a girl instead? Indira asks. I don't know yet, Christine says with a shrug. Then that's exactly why you're coming out tonight, Paige says. You're going to have fun with your friends. She points an aggressive finger at herself and Indira, and a questioning one at Maria, who shakes her head and points the binder on the table next to her plate. And you're going to dance with hot people and see if any of them float your boat. Christine declines to comment on the state of her boat, or whether or not it is even capable of floating, even in theory. She has more pressing things to worry about. What if they, know? Paige rolls her eyes. Indira grasps. Maria puts down her fork, swallows, and says, slowly and patiently, Christine, you could strip down to your underwear in front of anyone you care to name, and they wouldn't know anything. You have nothing to worry about. They know you're beautiful, Indira insists, stroking Christine's temple, and sweet and kind and intelligent, and they didn't know all that just from seeing me naked, Christine says, and Indira frowns at her. She's told her off before for covering for insecurity with bad jokes. Okay, Paige says, then they're gonna know you have killer tits. She bites at the tip of her tongue at Christine. Indira's eyes flicker to the entrance of the dining room, and Christine turns her head in time to see Aunt B step delicately inside, presumably intending to figure out what all the noise is about. Aunt B, Christine says, as a desperate last resort, help, they're being mean to me. Oh, she says, packing a great deal of skepticism into a single syllable. Indira leans on one of Christine's shoulders, Paige on the other. They both smile ingratiatingly at Aunt B. We're being very nice to her and paying her lots of compliments. At the table, with mouth full, Maria silently nods, and Aunt B's face assumes the pinched expression it often acquires when her charges are being playful. Like she can't quite believe her girls are so carefree, like she's proud that they are. Either that, Christine thinks, or she's just going to the mental place boomers go when kids are having too much fun near them. You're going out tonight, I understand, Aunt B says. We are, Indira says. Take care of each other then. We will. With a satisfied nod, Aunt B returns to whatever she's up to in the dining hall. Paperwork, probably. She doesn't like to eat in her office. And she doesn't stop working, ever. Some of the still new second-year girls are probably also being supervised alongside her. Her dislike of boys seems to extend to avoiding them as much as possible, at least until they have become, at least nominally in the case of second years, girls. But once they are, she seems to like to be involved. See? Official seal of approval. I'm doomed, aren't I? Yes, Paige says, pulling on Christine's wrist. Now come upstairs and we'll help you make yourself all pretty again. However soundproof the basement is from the inside, the walls between the bedrooms are obviously thinner. When Stefan removes his headphones after a marathon of honestly quite entertaining Meg Ryan movies, he now knows what the movie I'll Have What She's Having comes from, and retroactively understands several jokes. He hears thumping from the next door. Someone's hitting the wall, in the bedroom next to his. It's faint, but it's just about audible. Intrigued, he cups his hands around his ears and listens. The thumps pause after a few more seconds, and then, at the very edge of legibility, a ragged voice practically screams. You won't keep me down here forever, you fuckers. You can't cage me. I'll get you. I'll get all of you. Optimistic. It must be disorienting to be stuck down here for a week and still not know what's going on. Stefan can't find it in himself to sympathize with the guy, but he'd like to know who's in the room next door so he can add impromptu outbursts to the notes he's assembling on his fellow basement dwellers. His information is currently very thin. He slips his headphones back on, leans over to the computer, and cues up another movie, dipping out of the Meg Ryan folder for now to something called The Princess Switch. It feels indecent to be so relaxed, not just because of the commotion next door. Christine talked of this place as a house of horrors, and undoubtedly it was, for her. But for Stefan, the pressure's off. No more testosterone. No more trying to remain conscious in a lecture after a late shift at work. No more work. No more bills. Sure, there are downsides like the total lack of freedom, but Stefan's never felt all that free anyway. Barely 10 minutes into the movie, a second after Vanessa Hudgens has entered the frame, which is probably the most exciting thing that's going to happen to Stefan for the rest of the day, unless the magical old man who is definitely not Santa shows up again, it pauses and minimizes itself, revealing a pulsing chat icon. New user 63. Hello, Steph? Steph. Who is this, please? New user. It should say, oh, drat, sorry, Christine set this up for me. Steph. You know Christine? New user. Yes. Hold on, I think I've worked this out. New user 63 has changed her name to Abby. How's that? Steph. Abby, hi. Aren't you the girl in the pictures with Melissa? Oh, shit. Should we even be talking about that on here? Abby. Christine says we won't leave logs, and neither of the cameras in your room are angled so that they can see the screen. As long as you close the chat window when you're done, we're fine. You can say whatever you want. Steph. There are cameras in here? There are cameras everywhere. It's kind of our thing. In your room, there's one over the door and another over the wardrobe, pointing down towards the bed. I can't see them. I believe you, though. So was that you in the pictures? Which pictures? Photo booth. Oh, I know the ones. That's me. Yes, I went back to see her in August. Where does she live? What does she do? Questions I can't answer, I'm afraid. Not without a permission. And Christine has persuaded me it would not be wise to bring her up to speed just yet. Two of us knowing is enough. Plus, she would come racing back here and demand to see you and probably blow the whole thing. Liz is many things, but sneaky is not one of them. She'd really come straight here just for me? She still cares about me? She thinks the world of you. You were always the boy who could do anything if you would just put your mind to it. Oh, sorry. Don't worry about it. Up until recently, I was a boy. Still am one now. Kind of. Not really. It's difficult to talk about. I wasn't exactly an egg, but I was in deep denial. Christine told me about it. I'm so sorry this place seems like your only option. Hey, it doesn't seem all that bad so far. Getting yelled at and stuck in a building with people I hate. It's like being at work. Except you guys are going to pay me in, I don't know, tits and orchiectomies instead of not enough money. Christine told you about the orchie? Yeah, but I mean, I'm fine with it. I want it. Yes, true. Sorry, it's throwing me for a loop. I've been here for a while, and my expectations for what someone would be like so early in the program are fairly well established. Christine said something similar. And hey, if you want your expectations satisfied, the guy next door to me was banging on the walls and screaming just a few minutes ago. So, you know, you can be reassured you girls are still scaring the living shit out of people. Cool. I don't suppose you have any suggestions for speeding up the whole process, though? Like somehow getting my Pippa to arrange my orgy for next week or something. Not without tipping your hand, no. And that would be a very bad idea. Maybe I could just give her the idea subliminally. Adopt a very orgyable pose every time I see her. Like sit on the bed with my legs apart. Sit on the edge of the bed with my legs apart. No, actually, it'd look like manspreading. But that's a Dorley no-no. Do you punish manspreading here? It's not a primary objective, no. You could probably get on BuzzFeed if you did. I hope you're not this cheeky with Pippa. Don't worry, when I'm around her and those guys, it's not too hard to act appropriately intimidated. Especially when I'm around those guys, Jesus. They make me want to have a shower, even more than a bunch of days without having a shower made me want to have a shower. The other boys are going to be a problem for you, you know. Shit, sorry, not the other boys. Seriously, don't worry about it. I know I'm breaking sequence here, glitching through the floor and skipping straight to the lava temple. I have no idea what that means. Ask Christine. I mean it, though. Watch for the men down there. Not everyone reacts the same way into the program, but violent outbursts are common, especially early on. In theory, the girls protect you, and we have two professionals on standby at all times. In practice, someone could come at you in the shower, or simply on the other side of the common area, if they don't care about getting tased immediately after, and no one could get to you in time. We've never had anyone die that way, to the best of my knowledge, but we've had some bad moments. As distasteful as I know it must seem right now, I suggest you make a friend. I really don't want to. I know, they're all complete assholes. They won't be forever. How do you know? I was like them once. See, you and Christine keep saying stuff like that, and try as hard as I can, I just can't imagine it. Well, I'm glad about that. She's been so kind to me. Glad about that too. Instead of trying to imagine us when we were more like boys out there, you should think of us as proof that change is possible. And not everyone's going to be an asshole forever. Unless they wash out, I suppose. True. Best hope none of them do. Honestly, Abby right now, I hope all of them do. I can't imagine willingly spending time with any of them. How am I supposed to pick the least objectionable prick from a basement full of objectionable pricks? Then I suggest you pick the one least likely to do you personal harm. Having looked over the reports on these boys, I suggest Aaron. Aaron? That little shit? I know, he's abrasive, misogynistic, self-obsessed, practically an incel, but he has no history of physical violence. And if you stick with him, well, 2 targets are a lot less appealing than 1, to the bully looking for an outlet. I'll think about it. I should go soon, but before I do I have your permission to contact you again? I'm quite curious about Melissa's Steph. Go ahead, I'm not going anywhere. I want to talk to you about Melissa too. I understand you're limited in what you can say, but I miss her so much. I will answer questions to the best of my ability. Be safe, Steph. Abby has signed off. The explosion of noise from Indira when Christine opens the door to her dorm room and finds Abby still sitting cross-legged on the bed, futzing with a laptop, has the same effect on Christine's limbic system as a tin of Red Bull and a kick in her sensitive parts. So when the 2 of them join her on the bed, Christine manages to make the transition without her legs collapsing under her, the way they've been threatening to on the stairs. Indira, it turns out, missed Abby. The 2 of them exchange hugs, greetings, and gossip about Dira's boyfriend and Abby's still unfortunately tragic love life, while Christine balances herself carefully on the headboard and tries to subtly check the laptop screen to make sure Abby closed the chat app. With relief, yes, she did. Abby throws her a smile and a wink when Dira's attention is on pulling something out of her bag, and Christine lets some of the tension earth itself in the bedsheets. Either their conversation diminishes in volume, or some of Christine's senses check out for a while from exhaustion, because she manages to get in 6 whole minutes of sleep before Paige comes piling in with an armful of clothes and a determined expression. Okay, girlie, she says when Christine has been successfully aroused. Let's get up and let's make you look gorgeous. I thought I could just go, like this. Girls wear shorts to clubs, right? Not like those ones. Dira laughs, trying to poke Christine in the thigh. Christine, Paige says, marshalling all of her 6 feet to look as unstoppable as possible, and borrowing Aunt Bee's diction. You're a beautiful young woman, and I will not have you slobbing around in shorts for the rest of your life. What if we make a deal? I'll start wearing dresses again when I'm 30? No. Give me 9 more years. Absolutely not. Christine, Indira says, in her sponsor voice, which Christine's always thought makes her sound like the beleaguered older sister in a certain kind of family sitcom. Aunt Bee's mentioned the way you've been dressing. Christine's fingers twitch. She couldn't have mentioned this before? Shit, she says. What did she say exactly? She reminded me, Indira says, rolling over on the bed so she can be closer to Christine, that the freedom granted the 3rd years are conditional based on their continued feminine development. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I was trying to be quietly encouraging, positive reinforcement, carrot instead of stick, but it's time. Christine decides her brain needs a jumpstart, or possibly be jolted right out of her skull, so she bangs the back of her head against the frame a few times. Shit, she hisses in percussive accompaniment. Shit, shit, shit. Oh, Teeny, no, Indira says, and immediately starts gently stroking the back of Christine's head. She's not mad, and she's not intervening. She's just paying attention. She's still leaving it up to me for now, but she did like the idea of you coming out tonight. Christine attempts a smile, but it doesn't come out quite right, so she shuffles up on the bed a little, leans her back on the headboard so she can gather her knees under her chin. Sometimes the impulse to take up as little space as possible is too strong. I just want to be done, Dira, she says. I know, sweetheart, I know. I don't see what's wrong with me right now. I know. Paige sits heavily on the back of the beanbag chair. You know what you have to do then. You suck it up. Paige, Indira says sharply. I get it, Paige says. You want to be done yesterday. And all of this, Aunt Bee's expectations, everything, it's fucking hard. I get it, but you want to be you, right? Then this is what you have to do. She leans back and lifts Christine's all but abandoned makeup box off her desk. This is the last wall you have to climb. The final class. Advanced women in the modern age. Makeup and nice clothes and smiling and looking pretty and going out and meeting boys and doing it all yourself. You and Indira and Abby have to help you out with it last year, but ever since they stopped coordinating you, you've given up. And that's bullshit, Christine, because you know you've got to learn this stuff. And don't, she points a finger, sensing Christine's imminent objections. Give me all that shit about how this isn't how girls have to be. No one knows that better than me. Christine doesn't miss Paige's winch, wince, quickly hidden though it is, and remembers what happened at the end of her second year in the program. Paige thought she'd changed enough, thought she was ready, rebelled against Aunt Bee's requirements, got her locked in a room for a week, privileges revoked, freedoms curtailed, almost like being back in that cell again, almost like she hadn't changed at all. You don't have to agree with Aunt Bee to understand her point of view, Paige adds, although lately, I have to admit, I've actually come around to it. Of course you have, Christine thinks sourly, Instagram queen. Immediately, she's glad she didn't say it out loud. It's unfair because they'd all talked about it together, but only Paige was brave enough to say it to Aunt Bee's face and suffered for it. Later, Christine learned from Abby that something similar happens every year to every new batch of girls, all of them making the same mistakes, all of them walking in the groove their sisters had laid down years before them. Dorley has more powerful rituals than the Catholic Church. The logic of Aunt Bee's position is clear enough. She wants her girls to have access to all the skills they might need in their lives, not just the ones her hard charges happen to believe are relevant at the time. And she believes that because her girls were raised as boys, is the correct term for some of the neglect some of them suffered in their youth, then the things that girls are taught as children must be taught now, with no exceptions. And you can argue, as Paige has, that the expectation that girl children learn to dress in a feminine fashion, experiment with makeup, and so on is sexist, backward, slowly losing relevance. You can argue that many of these children hate it, and they are harmed by it. And you can find large numbers of children raised that way who are not girls at all, as you can find many girls, cis and trans, who describe a wholly different experiences. Surely then, to be a girl is to be a woman in the modern age. Are these things not a requirement? But Aunt Bee's girls will have every chance when they leave her care because she is not sloppy with her rehabilitation. Her girls will know how to make themselves look feminine and beautiful, even if, the very moment they leave, they decide to cut their hair short and wear only overalls. Her girls will understand the demands of women and native women in this country, even if some of them eventually come to realize they are not girls after all. Her girls will be in a position, when they graduate from the program, to make the choice as to who they are. Christine had been surprised to learn that not every graduate remains a woman. None, apparently, have ever become men again. But Abby said their graduate pool probably has a higher incidence of non-binary people and gender non-conforming women than in almost any random, age-appropriate sampling of the greater population. And Aunt Bee, with every appearance of joy, welcomes those people back when they visit. Christine saw it at the holiday bash when she met Melissa. Aunt Bee, custodian of Dorley Hall, laughing with a non-binary graduate, chatting with them about their job and their partner, agreeing to wear a pronoun pin, never once messing up their new name, never once misgendering them. The hardest thing for Christine to grasp when she remembers being locked in a cell or waking up after her first surgery or listening to Paige cry through a door she didn't dare unlock is that Aunt Bee seems, genuinely, to care for them all in her way. Don't forget, Paige says, the goal is to be yourself, fully yourself, whatever that is. You've gotten rid of that armor. That's how Paige describes her former self, the scared child, clad in armor that was forced upon her, lashing out because she believed herself strong and vulnerable to pain or consequence. But you haven't explored who you are without it. You don't know what you can do, what tools you have at your disposal, because you're still too scared to experiment. Paige, this is me tough-loving you, Christine. Put on the fucking dress and come out with us. Indira is holding Christine's hand and she squeezes it as Paige finishes her speech. Christine tries to imagine a flow of energy between them, reinvigorating her just enough to say what she needs to say, because she needs to push back. Not against the clothes or the makeup, it's been coming, and she's known it for a long while, there really is no fighting it. But, and she almost smiles at how mundane it is, the timing. I'm exhausted, Paige, she says. I can't even describe how tired I am. I actually want to come out with you. Half a lie and half not. Christine really doesn't want to be a hermit forever, but the early steps are the hardest and she's taken so few. But I've had almost no sleep since, I think, Saturday. Can I come along next time instead? I know it won't be such a big group, but it might actually be better for me if it's just the four and maybe Vicky and Lorna. Please, I'll dress up. I'll do my makeup. I promise I just can't do it tonight. Abby, still on the edge of her bed, with her feet up on the hamper and biting her lip, meets her eyes, and Christine tries to emphasize in that brief connection just how much she needs the rest. Dear, Abby says. You've been away for a good few days. You don't know what's going on with her. We think it's just stress from the classes. God bless you for lying for me, Abby, Christine thinks. But you know how these things snowball. She had an evaluation with Aunt B, and as well, during all this, more stress, and it's all piled up. Every day she looks more tired. I think we should give her a break. Indira, pulled between her responsibilities as a sponsor and her affection, Christine hesitates. I need a time out, Dira, Christine says quietly. Are you sure? She says, concern flooding her eyes. It's been a while since her last time out. Dira probably hoped she got past the need. I'm sure. Long ago, before Christine graduated to the second year, before she was named, when first she flickered into the world inside the spiteful, hurt boy who'd come to Dorley 9 months earlier, Indira sat her down on the bed in her awful little bedroom and laid it all out. Soon, no more concrete walls, no more communal bathroom, no more unexpected surgical interventions. Your first taste of freedom is coming, but it comes with responsibilities, which must be lived up to. And she outlined them, and scared the nascent Christine to her bone. Indira sat next to her on the bed, and took her hand, slowly and carefully, so as not to scare her. Because when Christine first arrived in the basement, she flinched away from all contact, and made her a promise. I'm not just your sponsor anymore. I'm your sister. If it ever gets too much, if you need a break, if complying with a request of mine will hurt you more than it will help you, and if you are understanding that there are expectations upon me to ensure your progress and commit to helping me fulfill them, then all you need to do is ask. Ask, and I will do everything I can to help you and heal you. And if I have to, I will move this whole building to keep you safe. Then you're getting one, Indira says. Paige, Abby, go with me, meet with Vicky, and have some fun. Christine and I will stay here. Christine says, no, I don't want to spoil your night. You only just got back today. You should have fun. I can have fun with you, she insists. We can watch movies. You won't have to talk. I'll be fine, I promise. I'm just tired. So tired I can barely think. I just need to switch off, rest, hopefully sleep, and get ready for classes tomorrow. Indira squeezed her hand again. Okay, Teeny, you'll come with us next week. I will. We'll all go out together. I'm looking forward to it. I'll talk to Aunt B. Thanks, Dira. Be kind to yourself, Christine, Indira says, a refrain as old as her name. Dira kisses her on the temple and pauses over her for a moment to stroke her cheek, and then hops off the bed and silently gestures for Paige and Abby to follow. Abby offers a little wave on the way out. Paige mouths an apology. Christine smiles for all of them and watches they close the door behind them and rolls over on her bed, into the warm spot that Indira left behind. She buries her face in the pillow and lets go. She's been meaning to come up here since she moved to the second floor and was legitimately granted the run of Dorley Hall and, in theory, the whole campus. It's been doable ever since she cracked Dorley security, but the roof only has one exit. Not somewhere she ever wanted to get caught, unless she very quickly developed a talent for climbing down 6 stories of vine trellis without breaking something. And even last year's Christine had better self-preservation instincts than to test that. There were 2 other people on the far side of the roof. 2 other women, presumably, given that it's Dorley, the premier women's dormitory on campus. Please don't ask about our wine cellar. So Christine gives them their space and settles for the observation bench at the front of the building, which affords a powerful view of the university grounds in general and the student union bar in particular. Its village pub frontage casts in rainbows from the garish cursive saint sign on the roof, the neon lights of home. Dorley's roof is laid out a bit like a Zen garden, an unknowingly ironic reflection of its basement, but Christine has no idea if it's authentic or not. The central gravel square doesn't seem to have any intentionality to it, being that its contents escape its boundaries on all sides, and she remembers reading somewhere that real Zen gardens are supposed to reflect nature, which this one decidedly does not, so she settles on fake. There's a set of white plastic garden chairs in the middle anyway. The gravel square isn't covered over, but it does have 4 brick pillars at its corners. Christine has heard that before the insurance got too expensive, they used to drape a tarp between them and host official gatherings up here. There's a thick pathway down the central square, which lurks in the occasional dump of potted plants, wooden seating, and tables. And every so often, around the edge of the roof there are benches, each of them dedicated to a famous or notable alumni, all facing outwards. Indira says you can have a wonderful picnic up here in the summer. Christine hopes Dira and the others are all having fun right now. Dancing, drinking, She regrets missing out on the chance to meet Vicky's girlfriend Lorna again, partly because she's very sweet and partly because Christine's now taken responsibility for a trans girl of her own, and would love to ask Lorna a few discreet questions, care and feeding, etc. God, she wishes she was out there with them, being normal. She pulls her hoodie tight, leans forward on the railing, and stares out into the night. She doesn't know why she isn't better at being a girl by now. There's nothing mechanically hard about putting on makeup or wearing a dress. Goodness knows she's dressed up for parties at Dorley's social events under the instruction of Dira or Aunt B. Almost all her second year was spent prettied up at the hand of someone or another. And it's not that she's got any hang-ups left about participating in her own gradual transformation either, because that's what was her voice training, if not Christine enthusiastically embracing her new self and the things she was required to do. The first two fingers on her right hand twitch, and she curls them into a fist to keep them still. It's fear. Well, no, not precisely. It's true that she has no confidence in her ability to make herself look feminine without the help of her sisters, and she remains steadfast in her belief that, left to her own devices in order to choose her own dresses and makeup, she will render herself unavoidably clownish. Perhaps that's a larger component of what Paige calls she had the last wall she has to climb. But it's not just that. It can't be. Maybe she's scared to let this place go. Becoming a free woman in the eyes of Dorley, in the eyes of Aunt B, means being a woman in the eyes of the world too. And she wants that. God, she wants it, she thinks, stretching out her left arm in front of her, the sleeve of her hoodie pulled up and smiling at the graceful fingers with the scrappily painted nails, at the beaded bracelet she made with Indira as part of a match set, at the smooth skin that shines softly in the light of stars and the student union's neon sign. She made this woman, top to bottom, and she's proud of her. But she fears it too. Because what if, without the looming presence of Dorley behind her, encouraging her, forcing her, to be honest, to be and remain the woman that she's become, what if she loses her? What if her womanhood crumbles and Christine dies and that boy, that vicious, lonely, evil little thing rises again in her place? You're being stupid, Christine, she whispers to herself. Maybe she's just scared that without Dorley to tell her who she is, she won't know at all. Makeup, clothes, and the lessons in feminine grace they were all subjected to. Paige likes to call them her tools. She didn't get all her tools from Dorley, she says, but Aunt B gave her a lot she didn't have before, and never even thought about acquiring. And you can't build yourself back up from nothing without access to all the tools available to you. Think of them more like adjectives, Indira suggested once, that you can use them to describe the person you want to eventually become. Who knows what possibilities you might miss if you don't have the words to witness them? Put on the fucking dress, Christine. Hi, someone says. Are you okay? It's one of the girls she saw earlier, walking up beside her bench. Christine only doesn't jump because, a moment before one of them spoke, she smelled them coming. They've been smoking, and her next addict never gets fully desensitized. She sits back up and smiles at them. I'm okay, she says. It's just, the other one says, we heard crying. I wasn't, Christine starts, and then her hand touches the back of her cheek. Oh, yes, I was. Too tired to even spot emotions when she's having them. Got to watch out for that. Long day, long week, bad memories. I'm fine, I promise. Good, the shorter one says. She sits down on the bench next to Christine and pulls back her hood, revealing short black hair, golden brown skin, and deep brown eyes. Christine can see the reflection of the neon pub sign in her irises. I'm Nalia and they're Ren. Nalia smiles, the sort of beautiful, easy smile that Christine always finds enviable. I'm Christine, she says. And because she didn't miss the pronoun Nalia used for her friend, not two women after all, she adds, she, her. Nalia's smile broadens, and Ren, leaning their backside on the railing, says, I like your dress. Christine had almost forgotten about it. Paige left the pile of dresses when she left, and feeling guilty, she leafed through them, looking for something she liked, something she wouldn't feel too self-conscious in. A Venn diagram with a very small intersection. She opens her hoodie back up and exposes more of the material. Thanks, she says. It's not mine. My friends were trying to get me to go out with them, but I just wasn't feeling up to it. They're in there? Ren asks, nodding her head sideways at the bar at the distance. No, somewhere in town. Paige thinks I need to meet boys. I think I need to have a quiet evening at home. She's got as far as putting a dress on before my best friend let me off the hook. Oh, you know Paige from the second floor? The floor with all those weird locks on the doors? Ren says. Christine's fingers twitch again. Idiot. Too much information. Always. Perhaps this is why she's scared to leave the program. She'll meet someone socially, and the first words out of her mouth will be, I was forced feminized in a secret basement, and all I got was this lousy novelty mug. Oh yeah, I forgot about the locks, honestly. She says, I think they're a legacy thing. I was wondering if we could ask the uni to pay for Uber locks on the 5th floor too, Nalia says. You want to keep me out that much? Ren says. They steal my cereal bars, Nalia mock whispers to Christine. I'm a criminal, Ren says. They recoil from Nalia's attempt to grab and sit down heavily on the other end of the bench, with Christine between the two of them. Christine gets her first clear look at their clothes. I like your skirt, she says, and Ren pulls at the hems in response, showing it off. It's dark blue, near black, with repeating patterns that look like tattoos. It would, if you could, tattoo fabric. Thanks, they say, beaming. They made it. Like, a week ago, they wouldn't shut up about how awesome it is for days. So thank you for another few hours of, she flaps her fingers like the mouth of a muppet, sound and fury. Signifying fashion, Ren says. I hate to ask, Christine says, having finally given up wrestling with her temptation, but can I bum a cigarette? Ren's face falls off. Damn, you can smell it. From a mile away. Sorry. Nalia shakes a pack of cigarettes in front of Christine, and she dislodges one. I told you deodorant doesn't work, she says to Ren, who rolls their eyes. Can I get a light as well? Christine asks sheepishly. I'm supposed to have given up like 2 years ago now, but... Bad night, Ren finishes. Bad week, Nalia remembers, sparking her lighter. Christine ignites, inhales, and sighs. The smoke dissipates in the neon light, casting them all into shimmering shadow for a moment. I'm going to get such a head rush. Just don't fall off the roof, Ren says. No promises, Christine says, and inhales again. We have to go, actually, Nalia says, checking her phone and making significant eyes at Ren. But it was nice meeting you, Christine. You too. Drop by the 5th floor common room if you want to say hi. Or if you want to bomb any more Nalia's cigs, says Ren. See, Christine muttered to herself, wreathing her head in smoke. They both seem nice and together are normal. Why not be like them? Which one? She giggles in the mild cigarette high. Pick one. She winces as the promised head rush is joined by a momentary stab of pain above her eye, her exhaustion making itself known. She should probably sleep soon, but not yet. It's not even midnight, and her first tutorial isn't until 11 in the morning. She's got some time. Time to figure herself out. Time to ask herself some of the questions she's been putting off answering. Time to lay it all out and get truly analytical. She takes a deep drag of the cigarette, watches the paper burn down, takes it and holds it in her lungs, lets it warm her, suffuse her, invigorate her, poison her. She lets it go and watches the smoke cloud catches the wind, rips itself to shreds, and billows away across the green. What do you know, Christine Hale?